Eckhart came about last year, so I joined a study group because I've heard about the power of now, and it wasn't something that I'd ever really wanted to study because I'd seen Eckhart speak, and I just thought he spoke so quietly, and it wasn't my cup of tea. It's like, no, that's not for me. I am all about self-development, and I'm also about spiritual self-development, but this I'm just going to leave alone. So I did the book. As part of the study group, did The Power of Now, and I learned about things like the pain body and being in the present, and I've become a lot more aware of myself and of who I be, as opposed to who I think I should be, and just kind of living in the I am. Because when I went through my transition, one of the things that happened was I lost a lot of friends because I just was trying to figure me out. And one of the things that I said to her was I was in a prison of my own making, and I didn't recognise it at the time. And so just knowing that, and I remember she saying to me, she said, yeah, I could see that you weren't yourself, but it wasn't my place to kind of tell you. It's like a prison that we make up. We don't feel like we can come out of it. So we're constantly stuck in a place where we can just kind of just say, I can press the eject button at any time. But because we don't know it, we're constantly doing the same things over and over and over again and expecting different results. With ego, it comes up a lot, especially in personal relationships and definitely relationships in family. And so it's learning that to be more compassionate, more loving towards people. So rather than saying something that would upset somebody, it's more about saying things and letting them know that this is how I feel about this situation, but not necessarily this is how I feel about you. So, for example, it would be, you've done something to me and I don't like what you've done, but I still love you as a person. Whereas before, I think I would have just kind of been very angry, so angry about the issue that I wasn't able to see them in it. And because I wasn't able to see them in it, I couldn't be loving and compassionate towards them and say, look, you've done something that's upset me, but I still love you and we'll work through it. And yeah, so that's really what it's helped me to do. It's helped me to be a lot more compassionate and more loving towards family and friends. And as a result, they're a lot more loving and compassionate towards me as well. So I think you can't have peace when you're always chasing something outside of yourself. And it's really important to have that intrinsic feeling and that know what your value is intrinsically. And because a lot of people are looking for that externally, I don't think that they find it. And so it's always like from this thing to the next thing to the next thing. So you're climbing a never-ending wall. Resistance always comes up, and when it does come up for me now, because I'm more aware of it, developed like tools that help me through it. So for example, I'll go for a walk, or I'll just basically go away for 5 minutes and then maybe come back to it, do a short meditation if that to see if that helps. Maybe just come back to it the following day. If I'm dealing with somebody or in an environment that I don't necessarily want to be in or necessarily appreciate being in at the time, I understand that I can choose to be me in that environment. So before, I would used to take on the energy of environments and I used to say, oh, this is a toxic environment. And it may be a toxic environment, but I can still choose how I show up in that environment. At the beginning of the year, I started journaling, and through the journaling, I found really a sense of myself and being able to work through things like resistance and when my ego comes up a lot more, and just being able to really figure things out in my head. 3 principles I live by now are joy, peace, and love. So if it doesn't bring me joy, it doesn't bring me peace, it doesn't bring me love, I don't want it. And finding the joy in the smallest things just makes me light up. Being able to love fully, even if people don't necessarily show me that love back. I understand now that it's not about me, which before that's the meaning I would have given it to it. I just understand that's where they are in their lives. And in terms of peace, I understand that that's like for me the foundation of everything. Because if I have peace, then I'm able to see the joy in things and be able to love more. It allows me to be more compassionate. So as a coach before, I used to be very, I used to be very forthright. So like, we're going to go from A, we're going to go to B, and we're going to obtain our objectives. And so because of that, I was quite rigid in how I do things. And now it's just taught me to be more go with the flow. And oftentimes with coaching, this is now and before, a client will come to you and tell you they want one thing and actually they want another. And now being able to be more compassionate to them and their needs, we were able to figure out what that thing is with them and, and just work with them. So before it was just kind of, it's always been a collaborative effort, but I think now it's more so. So it's even heightened that experience for me and them. It's really important to just be patient with yourself and to understand that the concepts are there to support you and not work against you, and the resistance that you have coming up is your ego, and that's okay too. You just have to work through it and just, be kind to yourself. What I love about his work and the work of so many spiritual leaders really is that they talk about just being in the now, just being present to what's going on in front of you. And I think we're taught to just kind of take all this information coming at us all the time, whether it's media, whether it's social media, whether it's other people's opinions, whatever it is, we're taught to take all that information in. And what he does with his work is just allow us to see that actually just being is how you really connect with yourself, with others, with your higher being, whatever it is. That's how you connect, it's just being. I remember when I was about, I think less than, I feel like it was less than 10, maybe it was a little older than 10. I remember just thinking to myself, like, who am I? Who am I? And to go back now and to think about that as an adult, a woman in her 40s, I now look at that and I think to myself, wow, I had those ideas then, like, who am I? And now to really be embracing that journey and going on that journey and figuring out who I am or who I be is just a really phenomenal thing for me, because it's just like it's come around full circle. What I see in my future, I don't know what I see, because I'm just really bowing down to the power of surrendering, I should say, and understanding what that means. And it's every morning waking up and saying, God, please use me for your will today, and understanding that what comes may come. And before, I think 3 years, I probably would have had a plan of how the next 3 years, 5 years, 10 years of my life would look like, the things that I would need to fit in to make it look a certain way. And now it's just learning about the power of surrender. It's not easy, because it's a relatively new concept for me, but I understand that that's where the goodness is, and that's where, I will be able to tap into my own greatness and then continue to be of service to others.